This is the true story of a man who vanished every day at exactly 4:33 p.m., and the chilling reason why. It started with a whisper. At first, no one believed it. A man, maybe in his 70s, would vanish into thin air every single day at exactly 4:33 p.m. People said he lived quietly in a small town by the edge of the woods. No phone, no family, just an old wristwatch and a worn-out coat he wore every day. He would go out at the same time, walk the same path through the park, and as the clock struck 4:33, he'd vanish. Some said he was a ghost. Others joked about time travel or a government experiment gone wrong. But one thing was certain. He was always gone before the clock hit 4:34. At first, people ignored it. But then it happened again. And again. Every day, same place, same time. Teenagers started filming it. They waited near the trees with their phones. But when 4:33 arrived, their screens glitched. One boy claimed his battery drained from 90% to 2% instantly. Another said he heard whispers just before the man disappeared. Whispers that weren't in any language he knew. Soon, it became an online obsession. Vanishing man of Greystone Park. Thousands of views. Conspiracy forums exploded. Who was he? Where did he go? And more importantly, why? A local journalist, Emma, decided to investigate. She was skeptical at first. She'd seen hoaxes before. But when she watched the footage herself, the way the man flickered, the warping of light around him, the sudden blackout, she couldn't explain it. So she went to the park. Day 1, he vanished. Day 2, same thing. Day 3, she ran after him. And the world twisted. Emma stumbled. It felt like the air had shifted, like gravity bent for a moment. Her vision blurred, her ears rang, and for half a second, she felt like she wasn't in the park anymore, but somewhere else. Somewhere dark. Cold. And then, she was on the ground. The man was gone. She checked her watch. 4:33 p.m. Right on time. She looked at her camera. The footage? Corrupted. Again. All she had was static and one blurry frame, a still image of the man half-faded like he was melting out of existence. This wasn't normal. Emma returned every day. She tried thermal imaging, night vision, hidden microphones. Nothing worked. The man never spoke, never looked at anyone. He just walked the same path and disappeared. Until the 7th day. This time, something changed. The man stopped walking. He stood still for a moment, right before his usual vanishing point, and looked up, directly at Emma. Their eyes locked. His expression wasn't blank like before. It was tired, like someone who had seen 1,000 lives go by, and remembered every one of them. Then he did something new. He reached into his coat, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and dropped it on the bench beside him. Then, gone. No fade. No flicker. Just gone. Like reality skipped a frame. Emma ran to the bench, heart pounding. She picked up the paper with shaking hands. It was a photograph. Old. Faded. Black and white. A young girl stood beside a man. Her father, maybe? They were in front of a house. The address scribbled on the back. Underneath it, a message in shaky handwriting. "She's the only one who remembers. Please bring me home." Emma couldn't stop staring at the photo. Who was the girl? And why did he say, "Bring me home"? The address on the back was real. She looked it up. It was a 2-hour drive from Greystone Park, an old neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. She got in her car and left immediately. The house was still there. Run down, abandoned, vines climbing the walls, shattered windows. But something about it felt familiar, like she had seen it before, in a dream, or maybe from another life. Emma walked up the creaking porch and knocked. No answer. She pushed the door open. It groaned like it hadn't moved in years. Inside, dust danced in beams of sunlight. The furniture was covered in white sheets. Family photos hung crooked on the walls. And then she saw it, the girl from the picture. But she was older now, much older, in her 80s, sitting in a rocking chair, staring at the door as if she'd been waiting. "You came?" the woman said softly. Emma froze. "You're her?" The woman nodded. "He sent you, didn't he?" Emma stepped forward, unsure what to say. "I told him I'd wait," the woman whispered. "But I never thought he'd find a way back." "Who was he?" Emma asked. "Where did he go?" The old woman looked up with tears in her eyes. "My brother. He disappeared 30 years ago, the same day I left home. We argued. I told him I never wanted to see him again. He walked into the woods and never came back." Emma's heart dropped. "But why every day at 4:33? She asked. The woman smiled sadly. "That's when I left. And I think a part of him never stopped looking for me." Emma sat with the old woman for hours. They talked about the man. His name was Thomas. He loved clocks, fixed them for a living, always punctual, always patient, and always protective of his little sister. The woman, Margaret, said she left home at 4:33 p.m. on a cold spring day after their final fight. Thomas had followed her into the woods, hoping to change her mind, but he never came back. "For years," Margaret said, "I thought he ran away, or something worse. But now, I think his grief trapped him, like he's been stuck in that exact moment, forever repeating it, waiting for me." Emma felt chills. "But how is this even possible?" she asked. Margaret shook her head. "Love bends things. So does guilt. Maybe time isn't a straight line. Maybe, for him, it broke." That night, Emma returned to Greystone Park. The next day at 4:30 p.m., she stood at the usual spot. This time, Margaret was with her. She held the photo tightly. Her hands shook. At 4:32, silence fell over the park. Birds stopped singing. The wind stilled. It felt like the world was holding its breath. And then, footsteps. Thomas appeared. Same coat, same watch. But he looked different now, like he was fading, pieces of him flickering like static. He walked toward the bench. This time, he didn't vanish. He saw her, his sister. They both froze. Margaret took one shaky step forward and whispered, "I'm sorry." Thomas blinked. For the first time in 30 years, his face softened. He smiled. And then, as the clock struck 4:33 p.m., instead of disappearing, he cried. Thomas stepped closer, each footfall echoing louder than it should have, like time was catching up to him, or maybe finally letting him go. Margaret reached out and touched his hand. It was warm, not ghostly, not fading, real. He looked at her like a boy seeing his sister for the first time again. "I waited," he said softly. "I know," she whispered, tears rolling down her wrinkled cheeks. "I didn't mean what I said that day. I never stopped loving you." The wind picked up. The trees rustled. Somewhere in the distance, a clock tower struck 4:34. And just like that, Thomas was still there. No flicker, no glitch, just a man standing in a park, breathing, free. That day, the vanishing stopped. People came. They waited. But 4:33 passed, and nothing happened. Thomas moved in with his sister. Quiet life, small apartment, lots of clocks. Sometimes Emma visited. He didn't talk much about those years, but he always smiled at 4:33. One evening, Emma asked him, "Where did you go all that time?" Thomas paused, looked at the old watch on his wrist. "It wasn't a place," he said. "It was a moment." He looked up at her. "I just couldn't move past it." Sometimes time doesn't trap us. We trap ourselves inside time until someone brings us home.